I've owned this Vero for almost 2 years and I haven't washed it one time, but today we're going to wash it, polish it, paint correct it, all of that. So let's get to it. Since it was already late in the day, I didn't have much time to get this bike washed because, you know, daylight savings time. So I wasn't looking for perfection, although the paint was priority. First thing we had to do was rinse the bike off. It gives a chance for the dirt stuck on the surface to loosen up so we don't scratch the paint more than it already is. I use Meguiar's soap and this Eagle One wheel degreaser. Not because it's the best, but it's what I started detailing with and I get a great result from it, so I just kind of stuck with it. I also use 2 buckets. It keeps me from scratching up the paint further, but we're going to start with the wheels. Why? Because brake dust and grime, and we don't want to get that on the paint. I coat the wheels in this product and it allows that brake dust to lift off the wheels, and it works pretty good. You just spray it on, you wait a few seconds, and then you scrub it and you agitate all of that brake dust and dirt. And now we already got the chrome looking better. And again, I'm not looking for perfection here, but it can definitely look better. The biggest pain about cleaning off the wheels is having to rotate them to get to the spots that you can't get to. So it's definitely easier if it's already elevated, but either way, we're getting done. This stuff also works on the exhaust tips. I decided to get my boar's hair brush clean into those tips. It's time consuming, but it's worth it. Now you can see why I tend to not do this as much as I should. It takes time.
I agree.
Then I decided to take it a little bit further and clean up the motor. Even though the paint was a priority, I could have bypassed this, but it was definitely just an extra added touch. And after rinsing the bike off, you can start to see that shine come through. This is probably the cleanest these chrome parts have been since I had the bike. Now we're gonna pour out this disgusting tire brake water. We're gonna clean this and fill this back up with some more soap. I think that might be enough. No, just a little bit more. Just a little bit more. A little bit more. Good job. Now here's the fun part. This little thing is cheap, just like me, but it works. So now we're just gonna sud the bike up. Again, just trying to break up all of that surface level dirt so when we actually go and wipe the bike off with the cloth, with the soap, it doesn't scratch the paint. So again, what we're trying to do here is just break up all of that surface level dirt that we can before we actually wipe the paint. And then I'm going to take this boar hairs brush and I'm just going to agitate all of that dirt to just try to break it up. And then we're going to do it again. The reason I use the 2-bucket method, just like many other people, is that one is for soap and the second is for a rinse. And the idea is keeping the dirt and these little particles from scratching the paint when you actually do go and wipe the bike, which we're going to be doing paint correcting later anyway, but we want to keep as many swirls off the paint as possible. And since this is my first time washing the V-Rod, there's dirt and grime in all of these little spaces. Now that V-Rod is clean, it's dry, and it's back in the garage, many people would stop right there thinking that the job is done. But we're gonna take this a step further, because the closer you look at the paint, especially when you put light up to it, you can start to see the different swirl marks and imperfections. And that's where the paint correcting, the polishing, the waxing, that's where that's gonna fix that. Or we're gonna try to make it look as good as possible. So being that we ran out of time today, we're gonna do that tomorrow. So let's get to it. All right, folks, it is the next day, and now it's time to paint correct, polish, and wax the V-Rod. Let's get to it. Every single product that I have here I've been using for several years now, so if you're curious about any of these products, you can check the description of the video and there should be some links down there for you. So yeah, go check them out. So now that we got the bike clean, you might think that the paint is automatically ready to be paint corrected, but it's not. First we have to wet the surface, and then we have to take this clay bar, and then we basically have to rub the surface down and get all the surface contaminants off. You see that? Yeah, it's still dirty. Now, I know it looks crazy, but just bear with me. It makes a huge difference. If you don't think this actually matters, just listen to the difference in me rubbing my hand on a clay bar surface and a non-clay bar surface, although both panels have been cleaned. Yeah, we gotta clean that. Clay barring is just one of those necessary things that is a part of the prep work that makes all the difference and gives you the best results. So it's definitely a necessary step. So for my polishing compound, I'm using the Ultra Cut compound from Meguiar's, not because it's the best, but I started using Meguiar's and I kind of just stuck with it. I started out with the orange cutting disc because that is the least aggressive cut, and you can see the little dusting that's going to be on the paint. I eventually swap out to a yellow one, which gives me a little bit more aggressive cut, and then a green aggressive cut. You want to start off small so you don't cut, I guess, too much off of the clear coat, but essentially the green one gives me the best, I guess, paint correcting process that I'm looking for, and it gives me that haze. But in this whole paint correcting process, slower is better, even though this is sped up, but slower gives you the better results as it's taking those swirls out of the clear coat. So when I started using this green one, I wasn't as careful as I should have been, and you can see that I splashed compound everywhere, which can be a pain to clean up. And now that we have the paint corrected, the next step in this is actually polishing the paint. And again, I'm using Meguiar's Ultra Finish and Polish. Again, this stuff, man, it just does a really good job. On this step, I use a blue polishing pad, and it's essentially the same step as paint correcting, except we don't have to go as slow. And also, we're actually bringing that glaze and that shine, that mirror-like effect out of the paint when we do this. So that little haze that you saw from the paint correcting, this is gonna make this look like a straight mirror effect. It looks so freaking good. This looks freaking amazing. Holy cow. I can't wait to show you once I put the light up to this. Whoopsie. That's not good.
This looks freaking amazing compared to what it was before. Just look at that. Just, wow. That's insane.
As you guys can see, this is a very tedious process, but with the right amount of patience, it yields such a satisfying result. And we haven't even waxed it yet.
Ooh. Glass. Freaking glass.
For wax, I use the Meguiar's Ultimate Paste Wax. It smells nice and it just gives the paint just this glass-like, not only look, but a glass-like feel. We apply it and then essentially we wait. And once we wait a few minutes and we swipe our finger and it essentially looks like it's cloudy and drying up, we just wipe it off. Just like that.
Check that out. Clear beams, baby. Clear beam of light.
From where this bike started, you would have thought that just washing it, we would have been done. But when you put that light up to it and you see how that light is not clear and it's broken up and you have all those swirl marks, that's when you know that you have paint that needs to be corrected. But after doing this, you can clearly see just how beneficial this can be for your paint. If I really wanted to get this paint as close to perfection as possible, that would involve taking different panels off of the bike and getting down in there with that boar's hairbrush and just detailing it down to, you know, in those little crevices. But that is very time consuming, and of course as soon as you get right back on the road with the bike, it's gonna get dirty. My bikes aren't show bikes, I ride them, but I do like to keep the paint in a pristine condition because that is one thing that we can protect most, or at least more, compared to other parts on the bike. So I hope you also can understand why professionals get paid a good amount of money to detail and paint correct and everything, because it is very time consuming and is one of those things where you kind of have to have a feel for it and understand how the products interact with what you're putting that product on, and also the different pads and the compounds and all that. All of that, yeah, it takes some skill to do, and I'm still learning it, and I'm just glad to be able to show it to you. So the V-Rod Muscle, it looks better than when we started, and I'm giving away this bike to somebody on my YouTube channel. So if you want to get in on that, you can head over to my website and get you an entry to win. Just like we gave away the 2022 Indian Chief Dark Horse earlier this year, you can click right here and head over to my website and check that out. And also, if you want to get more information on the V-Rod Muscle and the history on this bike and why it's one of the greatest Harley-Davidsons ever built, you can click and watch this video right here and check that out as well. But as always, thanks for listening to my story. I hope you learned something, and if you're subscribed, which I hope you are, I'll see you in the next one. Peace.